Today I'll be predicting what I think the Packers will do with their first pick, whether that's in the first round or if they trade back into the second round. But I just want to let you know, whoever the Packers wind up picking, I bet you somebody's going to be mad. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and we are 2 days away from the virtual 2020 NFL Draft. Yeah, 2 days away, people. Dos days. And yes, as I've said multiple times now, I will be streaming day 1 and day 2 of the draft. It happens every year. I've said it a few times. Stop DMing me, asking me if I'm streaming the draft. The answer is yes. And so today what we're going to do, I figured we would take a gander, or peruse, who I think the Packers will most likely pick if they stay at 30, if they trade down, or if they trade back. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to Miss Jaylen Johnson. Not only is she phenomenal on the Twitters, but is a brand new Patreon over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. So thank you, Lorinda. It is much appreciated. It was interesting because yesterday, what I was looking at, we did the linebacker prospects, and obviously we did 10 wide receiver prospects the week prior. And the more I put this out on Twitter yesterday, the more and more that I looked into the wide receiver prospects and the linebacker prospects, the more comfortable and more content I was with actually not picking up a linebacker or wide receiver until the second or third round. And if I was a gambling man, I would probably argue that that's most likely it's most likely what's going to happen with the Packers, because I feel like the Packers are going to be really heavily targeting offensive tackle, which will be demonstrated in these predictions, or they'll even be going after defensive tackle or a defensive back, whether that's going to be a cornerback or whether that's going to be a safety, even though I'm leaning more towards cornerback. And the reason I'm saying all this stuff is because I realized, we've been saying a while, there's a lot of depth with wide receiver, and I feel like there's a ton of great value that they can get on day 2. But at the same time, looking at all the linebackers as well, I realized the same exact thing, especially because we somewhat addressed the position with Christian Kirksey. If we didn't, I would probably put a lot more money on the fact that the Packers are going to go inside linebacker with their first pick. But since we've already gotten Christian Kirksey, which again, yes, it's a big, we don't know, there's a big question mark there because we don't know if he's going to be healthy. We don't know really what we have. But that being said, I feel like the front office is going to be looking more towards other positions for their first pick. But let's just get into it. All right, so these picks are if the Green Bay Packers stay at number 30. So let's go with our first guy, a guy that we've already talked about a lot on this channel, and that is wide receiver Denzel Mims. I did a whole video breakdown on Denzel Mims. If you want to go check that out, it's a lot more in-depth than what we'll be summarizing here. But the too long didn't watch version of it is the guy has great hands. He goes up and gets those 50-50 balls, ran a 4.38 40. He has that deep speed that we've been looking for out of MBS and just haven't really gotten. And I think that he absolutely is worth the number 30 pick. There is also potential he goes a little bit earlier. I wouldn't trade up for him. But he also could fall into day 2, which I think would even be more of a home run for the Packers if they decide to trade back. But I think that Denzel Mims is definitely on the radar for the Green Bay Packers and is someone that they could pick in the first round. He obviously needs to work on his route running, but they said the same exact thing about DK Metcalf last year, and looked how that worked out. Number 2, another guy we've talked about on this channel, and that's offensive tackle Josh Jones. Now, I've seen mocks where Josh Jones is going a lot earlier than 30, and he's another guy which I don't know if we're going to trade up for, but if he fell down to 30, yeah, I think you're looking at our future starting right tackle. Obviously, we got Wagner there right now as a stopgap or as a Band-Aid. You got David Bakhtiari, whose contract is up next year. I'm assuming we're not going to let him go because unless he has an abysmal year, that doesn't really make sense. He's one of the best left tackles in the league. But Josh Jones has obviously been protecting the blind side for quite some time. He's a great athlete, and I think he has everything that the Packers want. He could develop behind an already, great left tackle, and at the same time, he could potentially get some playing time in and at right tackle. Originally, when I did the Josh Jones video, I was kind of hesitant because I was like, I don't really know if you want to pick the guy who's not going to help you this season at number 30. But the more and more I look at it, it just makes sense because we're going to have to address offensive line at some point. It's one of the most important positions, the guys in the trenches, and it doesn't get talked about enough. It's not a sexy pick by any means, but I think the Packers could go with number 30 here. Then also at number 30, I can see them going another offensive line guy, Ezra Cleveland, sitting at 6'6" from Boise State. The only concern I have with him is he had a turf toe injury, so that could have swayed the tape a little bit. We don't really know what we have in him, but the guy is super athletic. He's a great run blocker, another left tackle, and same exact reasons for Josh Jones, except I think he's a little bit more athletic. So I think Ezra Cleveland is definitely in play there for the number 30 spot. I wouldn't doubt the Packers go offensive tackle here. Then this is if the Packers trade up. These are the only guys I really can see them trading up for. So you obviously have Justin Jefferson, who I think is going to be gone long before the Packers pick. It's been rumored to go to the Eagles at 21 for quite some time. We've talked about Kenneth Murray. If you go on and do any mock and look at any mock and, simulate any mock, there's times where you'll have Patrick Queen and you'll have Kenneth Murray sitting there at 30, and then there's some that they're gone in the top 20. So Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen, again, we could potentially trade up for. I highly doubt the Green Bay Packers will do that because there is depth, and like I said before, we already got Kirksey. But those are the three guys that are kind of like on my radar for who we might potentially trade up for. We could also go after a cornerback if we really wanted to, but those are three guys I could see us trading up for. We would have to obviously give up some draft capital. A lot of speculation has been that the Packers might trade up again with the Seattle Seahawks because we've done it for the past few years. Maybe we do that and we move up a couple of spots, but I don't know if the Packers are going to jump into the top 20. Then these are the two guys I think that they could pick if they traded out of the first round because they're like kind of on the bubble. So this is if they gave up number 30, got an early first round pick, and we're capitalizing there. And so the first one will be for a linebacker, which will be Zach Bound from Wisconsin. He's a heavy hitter. We talked about him yesterday a little bit. He's good in coverage, and he really is one of those players that's on the cusp of the first and second round. Again, I don't know if they're going to spend that kind of capital on inside linebacker. They haven't before. And the guy has a great motor, and I think that he definitely could be a day one starter and could definitely provide a huge upgrade in that position. But I don't know if the Packers are just going to go for it based on the position and how they prioritize it. And then finally, I got Jaylen Johnson, the cornerback from Utah at 6'0", ran a 4.5 40. I would prefer, there's potential, sure, that we could get him in the first. I think he would be a great early second round pick. He had 4 interceptions in 2018 and 2 in 2019 with 11 passes defended in 2019. He's had an interception every single season that he played at Utah. The guy checks a lot of my boxes. He's great in man. And again, the question with cornerback is exactly that. We don't know what we have. Kevin King's contract is expiring next year. Josh Jackson, if he doesn't do well this year, I don't know what his future holds. And Ramon Williams, we haven't brought back. We had Goody come out yesterday and talk about Ramon Williams and that, it's going to depend on what we do in the draft. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers go cornerback, just because we need the depth because there's so many question marks there. I know a lot of people wouldn't really be happy about that because they want to see a wide receiver go near the beginning or an inside linebacker. But just being as realistic as possible, I think there's a good chance that we don't get either of those guys in the first round. Now, again, if we trade back, we could go after a wide receiver in the early second round with some more picks. But these are the guys that I'm really targeting here that I think the Packers have a good shot of taking. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You could always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out Packast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.